Hey guys, I want to start this video out by saying thank you to all of you. It's been really, really awesome. The amount of comments, emails, messages leading up to the World's Strongest Man contest, during the World's Strongest Man contest, and now after the World's Strongest Man contest. The love and support that all of you give to me is amazing. It's overwhelming, and I just want to tell you that it really means a lot to me and to my family. So thank you for all of that. In this video, I kind of want to go over my thoughts on World's Strongest Man, what I kind of have planned coming up, and my future plans to some extent. So, it's kind of an update that a lot of people have been asking for. And, I just want you guys to know what's going on. And you all have been, awesome supporters of my journey here. So I feel like I owe it to all of you to kind of give a breakdown and an update. So let's kind of get into it. Leading up to World's Strongest Man, I know I said in a lot of the videos that I didn't have a lot of information about the events and there were a lot of unknown factors and that type of thing. And that very much was true going into the contest. Even when we got there, a lot of things changed. The weights and events I didn't find out until, pretty much the day before the actual competition and going into the competition. So that was not good, but it was the same for everybody, and everybody had to deal with that. Through the contest, there were several things that I was, from an organization standpoint, several things I was disappointed in, because in my mind, World's Strongest Man should be the pinnacle. It should be the best contest. It should be the measuring stick for all of strongman and other strongman competitions, and that was just not the case. So, there's a lot of examples of this, but, there was even in the finals, walking up to the overhead medley, for example, it was written out the order that we were supposed to go in, and that was changed literally as we were walking up to the platform to lift, which is crazy. In the loading medley, they dropped out one of the implements literally right before we were about to go. Things like that. In my mind, they're just not acceptable for the World's Strongest Man contest, and there's a lot to be desired from that standpoint. But again, like I said, it was the same for everybody. We all had to deal with it and get through it, and that's. I'm not going to go too much more into that stuff because that's kind of a different topic. But there's a lot to be desired there. As far as my performance through World's Strongest Man, I actually felt pretty good in the qualifiers. I got a really, really tough group with Novikov in my group, and he was coming off winning the Arnold in Brazil and the Arnold in South Africa. So I knew that he would be tough, and he proved to be very tough. He made me work to win our group, and then he actually got eliminated on the stone over bar last man standing event, which, he was, I think, 7 points ahead of third place in our group. So it was definitely not good for him to get eliminated. I think he had earned his spot in the finals. And, if the contest had been run in a normal format, he would have been in the finals. So, that's one thing as well that was not good. But anyway, I got through the qualifying group. I felt really good going into the final. I felt like my body was doing well even under the extreme heat and, kind of the extreme sweating that was going on during the competition. I was trying to stay hydrated and stay on top of that. And I felt like I did a good job. And, coming into the final, I felt really good. And through the final, there was, just some things that I needed to be better at. One example is a loading medley and everybody was tight on times there, but I felt like my conditioning was good, but my speed needed to be better. There was some things to be desired there. I left points on the table. For example, I was disappointed with my squat. I don't know exactly what happened there other than getting off balance. Again, I just needed to be better. I think the biggest thing through the final, or the most disappointing thing to me, was my car deadlift hold. Maybe I was too comfortable going into that event, too trusting of my grip, if you will. But I got through that event, and what ended up happening was I got some sweat that ran down kind of the side of my hand and into my palm, and the handle literally just popped out of my hand, and I was feeling very, very good with that, and it took me from an event that in my mind I should win, or at least be right at the top of the pack in that event, and I finished right down at the bottom when that popped out of my hand. So, could I have changed something? Certainly. The sweat, maybe I could have done something different with a chalk. I don't really know, but this is strongman, and sometimes things just happen, and they're, are factors like sweating and that type of thing, where if I could go back and do it again, I would certainly try to make a different plan. But the bottom line is I just didn't perform on that event up to my capability, and that's disappointing to me. It was a tough one for me to swallow, especially with that going into stones. As you guys saw in one of the last videos we put out from World's Strongest Man, I tore my brachialis a little bit, just a muscle belly tear, which, it's just another thing that's not good. At that point in the contest, though, the damage was pretty much done as far as the point count and all of that. But, even still, I needed to run fast there. There's a lot of guys that have really stepped up that are very good at stones. They're very good at all the events. And, World's Strongest Man as a whole, and the Arnold for that matter, the format of the contest has changed a lot since 2017. 2017 was probably one of the heaviest Arnolds ever, and also the heaviest World's Strongest Man contest ever. And I spent a lot of years here building up my body to be able to lift very maximal weights for very short distances, because that was what was needed to win the Arnold, and that was what was needed to win World's Strongest Man. And they've gone with a very different format now, with the loading. Last couple of years we've had the loading races, which are very, very quick. You need to be very fast on your feet. You need to be very athletic to do those, and to move with a little bit lighter weights in those events. And the stopwatch in these strongman contests has definitely come into play more, where you have to be faster, you have to be more agile, and you have to be able to move very quickly. And that format, with the way that I've built myself up, doesn't necessarily suit me as well. And that's it's a tough thing for me to admit, but I always try to go back after these contests and look in the mirror and say, okay, what can I do better? And right now, if I'm being honest with myself, I need to get faster. I need to be more athletic to keep up with the times. I need to get faster at those events. So in order to do that, I think, my plan is essentially to try to drop a little bit of body weight and start adding that type of conditioning back into my training program more than I have, certainly. I'm disappointed in myself that I didn't train more for the loading and more for the speed of these events. But, on top of that, sometimes you have a bad day at the office, and you see this with teams coming into the Super Bowl or the NBA Finals or whatever, and they have a bad day, they have a bad game, it just doesn't go their way. And that's how I feel very much after after the World's Strongest Man here. I just didn't put on a good performance, and there's really nothing else I can say besides that. It's tough for me being in my position. So many people support me, and so many people send me these messages, and I feel like in a lot of ways when I have that type of performance that I let a lot of people down, and it's not a good feeling. And I believe me, as much as there's people out there that criticize me for different things, and I take that, I accept that. I mean, being in the position that I am, fans of the sport are always going to be able to voice their opinion, and that's part of being in a sport. I mean, there's people that do that all the time, and as much as those people aren't really around me because I keep everything very positive and very upbeat. And, the majority of my supporters are super positive, and I love that. I'm, at the end of the day, I'm my biggest critic. And I always am the hardest on myself. I always have been, and that's why I've been able to evolve and get better over the years. And being in the position that I'm in now, that's what I need to focus on. I need to focus on how am I going to get better. I mean, I don't feel like I have a lot to prove. And, for me, competing is part of me. It's part of what I love. I mean, I love strongman. I started strongman for fun, and I don't know how many times I've said that, but, I was able to turn my passion for strongman into my career and into my job, and open a lot of doors with that. And it's been a great ride. And, it's not something where when I go to compete, I enjoy competing, and it's not something, like I said, where I feel like I have anything to prove. I love competing. I love training. I love pushing myself, and I want to get better. And I feel like, coming into this contest, that, there was a lot of factors as well that I was not very happy about. And, one of them was coming back from the hamstring injury at the Arnold, which I was able to do. I was able to overcome that. Didn't bother me at all at the World's Strongest Man contest, and that was huge. The other factor is at the beginning of this year, I made a really big decision to take part in a TV show, which I can officially announce now is going to be called The Strongest Man in History. It's going to be on the History Channel. It's going to premiere on July 7th and July 10th here in the United States on the History Channel. But that also had me on the road, gosh, I don't know, between 60 and 70 days this year already. And, for me being a competitor and competitive, I love to be at home. I love to be training in my gym, and I love to have everything in a controlled environment. And with doing that show, I knew that it wouldn't be easy for me to maintain all of that on the road, trying to pack all my food, cook all my food, have everything not set in place, so to speak. And so that's a hard choice that I had to make. But, coming into the sport of strongman, one of the things that I said was I wanted to leave the sport in a better place than when I started. And having the exposure on the History Channel is going to be huge for the sport of strongman. It's going to introduce the sport to so many people that would never see it on, CBS or when it was on ESPN or whatever. It's a whole different audience, and I think that it's going to be a great thing for the sport. Obviously, I think it's a great thing for me personally, as well as the guys that are involved on that show with me. So I think that that's going to be huge. But, I've definitely at certain points in this prep, I've gone back and thought to myself, wow, what if I didn't have to be on the road? What if I didn't have to travel as much? And that's been I knew it would be a tough balance. And it's been difficult, certainly, but I've been able to get through it. And I did everything I could do, given the circumstances, to get ready for World's Strongest Man. So, it's something I'm going to have to go back and analyze going into next year, depending on if we're going to film a second season of that and how much time that might take, that type of thing as well. But, I don't regret taking that opportunity. I think that, like I said, it's going to be a huge thing for the sport. It's going to expose it to so many different people, and it was a great opportunity for me personally. It's all of this is a balance. It's a balance of life. It's a balance of competing. It's a balance of training, making time for everything, prioritizing things. And, for me personally, I want to be the best at everything that I do. So I want to be, the best competitor I possibly can be. I want to be the best husband and father that I can be. I want to be the best at filming that TV show. I want to be the best at business. And, it's a lot to bite off and a lot to chew sometimes, but I enjoy it and I have fun with it. And I think that, I think that there's still a lot coming up that I'm really excited about. So, it's a fun ride, and through the videos that we do, it's amazing to be able to share it with you and bring all of you along for the ride, and I think it's going to be great. There's certainly some stuff that I'm now very hungry and motivated to go back to the drawing board and change and improve and get better. But it's looking back, it's always one of those things where you go back to the drawing board, you learn, you get better, and you get hungrier to come back better, and that's how I feel right now. So we'll just kind of take it in stride, but for right now, I mean, big congratulations to Martins Lisi's. He put on a great performance. He had a great day of competition, and he got the job done, and that's really all you can say right now. So it's go back to the drawing board. It's get better. It's work on weaknesses, and have fun through the whole process. Stay positive, stay upbeat, and and look forward to the next opportunity to compete. So anyway, I think that pretty much wraps it up. My future plans are to, work on getting ready for my next contest. I'll have to pick exactly when that's going to be. But right now, I think the main part of what I'm going to try to do is incorporate a lot of what I just said, with dropping a little bit of weight and getting more athletic, getting back to that type of training. And I think it's going to be a great challenge. And hopefully we can bring you guys along for the ride with that as well. So for now, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Go out and be great, and we'll check you guys later.